All right, welcome to another episode of Seeds of Music. I'm your host, Kyle Williams, and this is the #1 web show where aspiring independent artists, musicians, and producers can learn right now how to gain wider exposure, grow a strong base of raving fans, and make an awesome living doing what they love, which is performing, writing, and living, breathing music. And today on the show, we have Yuval Ron. Okay, and the cool thing about Yuval Ron is he's an internationally renowned world music artist, composer, educator, and peace activist and record producer. And what he excels at is being able to connect deeply with his audience. And it all started with, I guess he has this really spiritual basis for his music because he grew up in Israel. And then after he attended the College of Berkeley Music College. Wow, it's a tongue twister, but not really a tongue twister. But he attended there in the 80s and graduated magna cum laude. I don't know if I pronounced that right. But after he graduated from there, he went on to compose, in television and film. And, this whole time he had this desire to really bring to light this issue of all the religious conflict in the Middle East between the major religions there, Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. But he formed the Yuval Ron Ensemble as a means to show that all the religious groups can actually come together and create something beautiful and unify. And so Yuval Ron Ensemble is formed of Christian, Muslim, and Jewish musicians. And so it's like this message of unity and the spirituality is really deeply embedded in his music. And I don't think you necessarily need to belong to any particular religion to be able to connect emotionally with your audience or to connect deeply with them. But what Yuval has is like a wealth of experience about how to play to a crowd, how to entertain them, and then also how to emotionally touch them and make a real connection and have a relationship with them on stage, speak to them, so that you just become one of those performers that the audience will never forget. So stick around. Okay, Yuval, first off, thanks for coming on the show. I know we couldn't get the Skype video set up, but I knew that I had to have you on the show, and so that's what we figured out. The phone was the best way to go. So thanks again for coming on.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad to be talking with you about these subjects.
And so, the first thing that I noticed, or first thing that actually really touched me when I was listening to your live performances and going to your website and also listening to your TED Talks, is that there seems to be this deep connection that you're able to make with your audience, whether they're going to your live performance or they are, listening to a recording and it's kind of shining forth through the recording. And what, in all of your experience, which you have a ton of experience, what do you think is the key element to connect deeply with an audience and just have them really remember your performance?
Yes. No, Kyle, I found that being honest on stage, being really 100% direct with the audience and relating to them as if they are your best friends and as if you're talking to a friend, that opens the heart of audiences. And for me, when I see on stage with 2,000 or 5,000 people in the audience, I speak to them and I relate to them just as if I play an intimate concert for 50 people. I try to be completely honest and direct and just be myself. And I find that by itself is very engaging. Another thing that is very important in live performances is to interact with the audience, not to just be involved with your own self and your own instrument and the people on stage, but to relate to the audience, to talk to them, to invite them to dance, invite them to clap their hands, to to make it legitimate for them to come up and stand up and dance. Sometimes audiences need that legitimation. You have to tell the audience sometimes, come on up and dance. Here's a great song for dance. And that opens the door for people who wanted to dance, but they were too shy, they didn't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
That gives it legitimation for them to stand up and dance. Same thing with clapping, and same thing with singing. Some of the songs that I perform with my ensemble, which is called the Yuval Ron Ensemble, I like to include songs that have some hooky parts that are just sang with or with la la la, or with gibberish, or with something that is not including language, because we perform music of the Middle East, and we sing in Arabic and Hebrew and Turkish and Armenian and Ladino, Spanish, and when we perform in America and all over the world, the language is somewhat of a barrier, because many of our audiences do not understand the words of our songs. So
Yeah.
I make it a point to explain the meaning of the songs before each song. And also, I like to have those parts in the song that are not sang in any language, just and then I get the audience to sing along with us, so they have a way to participate. So these are all kinds of little tricks about performance. But as I mentioned to you earlier, I just signed a contract with a publisher named Oracle Institute Press to publish my book. And
Okay.
in the book, I explore these questions from both scientific and spiritual, meaning what scientists recommend to have the utmost honest performance, and also what the mystics and the great masters of music from the past, from
Yeah.
the East, and from the West, even Mozart. Mozart, who was one of the most fluent composer, the most incredible talent in human history, even he had moments where he didn't flow, that music just didn't come out of him.
Yeah.
He had a writer's block here and there. And I found some letters that he wrote to his father, telling his father how he dealt with it. And I include that in my book about some techniques, from East and West on dealing with that issue. So it's an ocean. I mean, this issue of performing and being an artist on stage, connecting with audiences, is a very complex and interesting, fascinating question.
What would be something really tangible that an artist could do, like at their next show, to take a step towards connecting more with their audience?
I would choose a couple of songs that people can clap to.
Okay.
Something that is upbeat and exciting or fun, and have those be typically towards the end of the set. If there's two sets for the concert, it can be the last two songs of the first set before the intermission, and the last two songs before the end of the concert in the second set. And during those songs, to have a moment where the artist stops playing the instruments and just start clapping, and it can be right in the beginning. And if you start clapping with your hands up above your head, some people in the audience will join you.
Yeah.
And that will make the other people in the audience go for it, and that breaks the ice. And it can be even the first song in the concert. If your style of music is appropriate for having the first song as an upbeat song, you can do it right away in the beginning.
Yeah.
Most of the concerts that I do, because I do some sacred music and spiritual music, I like to start to kind of slowly get into it, and I like to start with slow songs in the beginning, like a prayer, and get deeper and get the audience warmed up for the later parts that are more ecstatic and more danceable and more festive and upbeat. So that's the structure of my programs.
Okay.
Usually, but different artists may choose a different kind of orders for the songs. Another thing that I recommend is to encourage people to dance and to talk with presenters and clubs beforehand about that possibility and ask, if people want to dance, is there some space in front of the stage that people can dance to? Can people dance in the aisle? We have some issues with theaters like Schoenberg Hall in UCLA where they're very strict and the ushers wouldn't let our audiences dance in the aisle. There's all kinds of fire codes and things. So you want to consult the presenters if there's a space in the concert hall or the club that people can stand up and dance. And once you know where it is, before you go and play your upbeat song, you can tell the audience, this is a great song to dance to, and you can all dance in the aisle, or you can all dance in front of the stage, or you can all dance behind the rows, whatever is the place that is permitted to block with dancing. So that's another advice.
Because it seems like to you, like, music and dancing is like a way or a method to reach the source of life, as you were saying in your TED Talks, and when you were talking about the story of the Baal Shem. I mean, that really, because for me personally, I think so much about music and how that has the power to affect, but dance is kind of like the two are symbiotic in a sense.
Right. Yeah, in the old days, in the tribes, in our ancestors, when they lived in the times that there were only tribes, there were not even nations or states or countries, there were tribes.
Yeah.
In those early times, the dancer was the musician, and the musician was the dancer, and the drummer was the dancer, and the dancer was the drummer. And even it went even further, where the drummer and the musician was also the magician and the shaman and the doctor. So it was all those jobs, all those positions or personas were all one, because in order to do magic, in order to heal people, you had to make them dance, you had to know how to play the drum, you had to know how to create magic with music to heal people. And so dance and music are very, very, very much go hand to hand, definitely. Very important.
And, the one other question I wanted to ask is about you and your journey with learning all the skills that you've learned to bring your music to life. And along the way, you decided to attend Berkeley. What have you learned in college that's contributed to your success, and what have you not learned in college that's contributed to your success?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I train people. I have a mentorship program that in my studios in Los Angeles, where I train students that come from Berklee College of Music to Los Angeles, and I train students from all over the world and from other schools who come for a semester to work under me and to be trained in the real life situations of the music business. So I'm very much aware of the things that I teach that are not being taught in the school. And I remember when I was in school, I remember that one of the best things that I learned were skills of orchestration and composition and film scoring, because my major was film scoring.
Okay.
That's why I ended up in Los Angeles, where I'm writing music for films and TV, and I've been doing it since in LA since the mid-90s. So I learned a lot of technical information on how to do things, how to transpose, how to write a symphonic score, but I didn't learn a lot about the music business. I didn't learn about the computers. You know, back I studied in Berkeley in '85 to '89.
Yeah.
And we hardly used the computer at all. So I learned all about using computer and computer technology all on my own. Now they teach it in schools. They do teach it in schools. But what I find that they don't teach in schools is how to get a gig, and how to maintain a gig, and how to negotiate a gig. And even in the music business classes, if you go to study business class, in the business class, in the music school, they don't teach you the real life situations and the real how to strategize, how to talk to the director, how to talk to a producer, how to negotiate with them, how to deliver things to them in the right way, and how to position yourself and how to sell yourself. I think that's something that is very important, and it's missing from the schools, the music schools.
Yeah.
And I just learned it through my experience, just from being in studios, being
trial and error.
Yeah, just working in the field. I saw other people, and I saw how they go along, and I just learned from that, and I kind of formalized it into a system which I teach to my students, and I'm very happy that almost all of the students that came to my studio in the last almost 20 years, they all got jobs in the business, and they're all doing something, from composing music to doing music management, to working in record companies, to being executives, to in all those fields.
Well, what do you look for in a candidate for mentorship? Like, what do they have to have?
Well, the first thing that I look is if they have the capabilities with the music technology and with business technology. The softwares that they have experience with, and the experience they have working with people. And then I look at where they are in their career, and I try to see how much I would be able to help them to advance, and how much they're going to be able to help my company to do the tasks that we are doing. So I want to have a candidate that gets a lot from us and also gives us a lot in exchange. So and I look at people who are hardworking. I'm looking for people who are reliable, responsible, mature people. That is very important. A lot of people that go to the music schools now, they get a very good training in the music technology. Mm-hmm. It's really, especially Berkeley College of Music, they really learn a lot about various different softwares and how to use the computer.
Yeah.
But beyond, so I have many candidates that have the same skills. They all know to use Logic. They all know to use Pro Tools. They all know to use Ableton. They all know the same things. So how do you distinguish between them? How do you make the decision? The way I make the decision is I interview them. I do a personal interview, and I get a feeling for what kind of a person they are.
Yeah.
How mature they are, how responsible they are, how together they are. How, if they're very talented musically, but as a person they are scattered, the lack of focus. That's not a kind of candidate that I want to bring in.
Okay.
So it's a lot. It has to do a lot with personal skills, which is very important, as you know, especially in the music of.
It's the other half of the equation.
Yeah, to be a film composer, to be an orchestrator, I mean, you have to have a strong, mature personality. I mean, if you're a rock and roll lead singer, and let's say the guitarist in the band does all the marketing, the singer may be very talented, and that singer may be very unstable personally, but it still works in the band because the bass player or the drummer are dealing with the agents and the management, and the singer is great and talented, but when you're a film composer, when you can't really afford to be scattered and not focused or hardworking. You are the company. Yeah. You are the one that people are hiring, and you have to deal with all the different procedures and the people involved, the producers, the directors, the agents, So you have to be serious, a serious human being and focused human being, hardworking and mature to handle those situations. So
Yeah.
those are the kind of people I'm looking for.
And it seems like those qualities will also be a precursor to their own success, you know, regardless if they're in a mentorship or not. But I can see why you would want to have those qualities, because otherwise, you know, it wouldn't be a good fit. It'd be a waste of both people's times.
Right, exactly.
So beyond that, you know, when did you form the Yuval Ron Ensemble, and why exactly did you sit down and decide that you wanted to put this together for any particular reason?
You know, that ensemble was something that I never really envisioned that I'm going to have, because I was working at that time. That was in around 2000. I was already working for 15 years as a composer, and I had my career established, and I had work, and I didn't have to worry about establishing myself, and I wanted to form that ensemble for social, political, and educational reasons. You know, I wanted to do something that impact education, to impact children, impact the young generation, impact people around the whole world. And because I grew up in Israel, I was born and raised in Israel. I had this continuous concern, which I still have, about the fact that there's violence and war between Israelis and Palestinians, between Israelis and the Arab world, between Arabs and Jews, between Jews and Muslims, between Muslims and Christians.
Yeah.
You know, those tensions that are originating from the Middle East, and they're spilling over to the West, especially still September 11th. That's something that continuously bothered me, and I never knew what I could do about it. And in 2000, an idea came to me that since I've done a lot of research into the history of the music of these people, I felt that the only thing I could do, the little contribution that I possibly could do, is to form a group that have Jewish, Muslim, and Christian musicians from the Middle East that would perform their own cultural, traditional music, and show their communities that we could work together, that we can create beauty together, that actually by working together we can even create better product than if we work alone.
Yeah.
And that's what I try to do with my ensemble. I try to demonstrate that, and to demonstrate to people how our cultures are similar, how musically we are using the same building blocks, we're using the same notes, we're using the same human emotions, even the texts are similar. So I'm trying to use that as a metaphor for collaboration and harmony, and that's what we've been doing. And it started just from one concert, and it grew to be a whole. You know, we've got records, we've got agents, we've got tours, you know, world tours, and it's something that grew from nothing. I really had no idea. I thought originally it was just a one-time concert in Santa Monica, Concert for Peace, that I organized in 2000. And out of that, you know, in the first concert, it was called Yuval, Ron, and Friends. I just picked up the phone and I called a couple of friends of mine, and I asked them to come and play that concert with me. And out of that came the Yuval Ron Ensemble. So that's how it originated.
So it was like you had this like desire to have impact in a positive way, you know, further with your music rather than what you had been doing at the time. You wanted to go deeper, and that message of unity, you know, how has that impacted the way the audience like experiences your music?
I think that people are seeing different faces and different color tones and different looks on stage, and they hear different languages, and they get a sense that we really having a good time on stage, and they get a sense that we are acting like a family, and we've been together for almost 14 years. So people start to sense that we are not a pickup band. We've been together. You know, the Beatles broke up after 10 years.
Yeah.
I mean, great bands can't survive
Pink Floyd was another
for
one.
more than 5 or 6 years. It's very hard to stay in a band. It's very difficult. So the fact that we have been together and stayed together for 14 years and keep going is something that the audience sense, and we respect each other. We respect each other's religions and cultural traditions, and people feel that we represent a certain kind of goodness, or a certain kind of possible example of unity.
Yeah.
And that's why we received invitations from places that have nothing to do with the Middle East. We received invitations from Korea to play in Korea on the border with North Korea.
Oh, wow.
As a gesture of peace from the South Korean government. So we performed on the border in the demilitarized zone, in the DMZ, in 2005. We've been traveling around the world in places that have nothing to do with the Middle East, but people now relate to what we do as an example of human collaboration, of collaboration and harmony across borders and religions. So it really grew beyond just presenting and teaching about the cultures of the Middle East.
So what are you up to right now?
Well, we have a big concert in Santa Monica at the Broad Stage on September 1st. We are opening the subscription series of the Broad Stage. It's a beautiful, beautiful theater in Santa Monica. And I just finished today scoring a new film called The Dance of the Maize God, which is about the history of the Mayan people, the Maya tribes from South America. It's a very interesting film about the looting of the vases and the treasures of the Mayan people. So I just finished the score today, and I'm flying on Friday to New York City there's a premiere of a theater production that I scored the music for called Murmurs and Incantations, which is opening in New York on Thursday, August 21st. And in the record, excuse me, in the record business, on the record front, I'm producing an album right now for a French artist named Sophie here in Los Angeles. Beautiful material that she wrote and I'm producing. And the big project that I'm working right now is a commission that I received from LAX and the city of Los Angeles to present a full evening show in LAX to celebrate the opening of the new international terminal, because they built a new terminal which they are celebrating at the end of September. So September 28th and 27th, I believe, there will be two shows with all original score that I'm composing with dance company of Sarah Elgart and film projections and projecting images on steam and smoke. It's all going to be outdoors between Terminal 1 and Terminal 2 in
When is
LAX. It's going to be between Terminal 1 and Terminal 2, outdoors, and it's open for the public. It's going to be the last weekend of September. I think it's September 28th and 29th.
Okay.
So I hope to see you there. It's going to be a free show, and it's quite a spectacular
It's 28th.
Event.
28th and 29th. So
Of
that's
September.
last Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Saturday night and Sunday night. I think it's at 7:30 or 8.
Okay. Awesome. I mean, that sounds like a huge, awesome production there.
Yeah. It's all outdoors. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you prefer playing outdoors, or do you like indoor, small, intimate?
Well, I like to play concerts inside concert halls, but I like to do those kind of spectacular site-specific performances that incorporate dancers and film projections and lights and music in a site that we work with the site. I've done that downtown LA under the Spring Street Bridge in 2007. I wired the Earth harp. It's a huge instrument, 300 feet long harp that I wired to Spring Street Bridge downtown and created a show there. I did it at the Getty Center twice. And so what we do, I find is very exciting, is I'm creating a whole musical score for specific architecture, a specific location, and we take into account all the buildings materials and the shapes and the look of the site, and we are tailoring music and lights and choreography and film projection to that specific site. And it's an exciting challenge artistically. So at the end of September, there's a chance for people to come and see one of these spectaculars outdoors that is created specifically for that site in LAX.
Okay, awesome. And it's a kind of like representation of that concept of unity, because you have a coordination of these different seemingly separate elements, visual and architecture with music.
Right.
I had this big question I wanted to ask you that I've kind of been saving. When you graduated from Berkeley, you were probably around the dawn of like MIDI and the digital age, and you've probably seen the rise of digital music production and digital music distribution. What's like the biggest change that you've seen that the music industry has made over like the past 20 years or so?
Well, I think the MP3, those are digital files that can be streamed and can be bought online. This is one of the biggest changes. I mean, another big change is going from analog tape to digital tape. That was a big change. Then the next big change was going into recording onto the computer, not on digital tape, but into the computer and editing music while seeing the visual representation of the sound wave on the computer.
Yeah.
That was the second big change. But then came the MP3, and that is to me, you see, all the other changes maintain the quality of the sound of music, and kept the financial arrangement the same. Meaning, people had to buy music in order to enjoy music. On the most part, people would buy CDs, or before that they bought LPs.
Yeah.
But and the quality of the music, when we moved from analog tape to digital tape and to recording on computer, the quality, there's very, very, very tiny, almost unnoticeable change in the quality of the music, of the sound, when you go from analog to digital. There is a difference, but very few people can hear the difference.
Yeah.
But once we went into the MP3s, the compressed audio files, and everybody starts stealing the music and downloading it for free and uploading it for free and downloading it for free. This is a radical pulling off the carpet under the feet of musicians, because the source of income that used to be coming from record sales have shrunk so much, because people don't buy records anymore. All the record stores have closed down.
Yeah.
And the quality of the music is so low. It's really like low res photo. It's like low resolution photo compared with a high resolution photo. It's like the difference between a grainy, old, bad quality photo with a very sharp, beautiful photo. That's the difference when you listen to music on an MP3 file that is being streamed online versus the full sound of the original recording. And that is really not just degraded the quality of sound that people are now consuming. At the same time, it turned music, in a large part, to be a hobby and not a profession, because many musicians now who record music they cannot make money. They cannot make a living from selling their music because nobody is buying the music. People are just downloading the music.
Mm-hmm.
So people have to make their income only from concerts. The concerts have become more and more expensive because of that.
Mm-hmm.
And some great musicians do not like to perform, or they're not really good performers. And those kind of performers will not be able to survive as musicians anymore. If you cannot perform, and if you don't perform well, you have you have future as a musician only as doing it after hours. But you will have to have a day job or somebody paying your bills.
So what have you done to?
And that's huge change. I mean, and this is global. You know, it's all over the world.
Yeah. And what have you done to survive this change? Have you just focused on your performance more?
I was lucky. I was really fortunate that in 2000, for some reason, I decided. Well, I had a reason that I stopped scoring nationally syndicated TV series. In 2000, I refused to renew my contract with Fox. I used to score TV series for Fox in the 90s,
mm-hmm.
and I had a contract for 6 years, which I renewed every year. And in 2000, I decided not to renew it because I wanted to go back to be a freelance composer,
mm-hmm.
which I did, and I'm very happy that I did that. But at the same time, because I felt confident in my career as a composer, as I told you before, I started my own ensemble to perform music and to educate, and I did it without the intention of having it. I had no idea I'm going to really sustain it. I did it just to do one concert, and I was really lucky that I did that because I started to have another venue for my creativity, and I started performing, and that opened a whole new department, for my company, where we have revenues coming in from performances, from concerts, and from record sales, of course, as well. So that kind of balances my career, and it happened to me just in the right time, by really a great fortune, because I didn't really foresee it. I didn't really think that I needed to perform in 2000. I felt fine just working in the studios, but I ended up performing almost in spite of myself, and I really ended up enjoying it a lot and
mm-hmm.
doing it more and more and more. And I'm very happy that I do that, because communities, I connect with people in a way that I could never have just sitting in my own studio composing all day long.
Yeah.
So I love going on stage. I love going out to meet communities around the world, and but from a record sales point of view, the fact that I became a performing artist kind of secured the fact that I keep selling records, because I can tell you there are some records that I recorded with musicians that I hired to play my music, but I don't perform that music, and I don't perform with those musicians that I hired. I don't go on tour with them, and those records that I recorded with these musicians do not sell because I don't perform it. But the records, the programs that I perform, those CDs, the material from those concerts, caused the CDs to sell all the time. So we're continuously selling records, and because of the concerts. And if I hadn't had that, new career that I established starting in 2000 as a performing artist, I don't think that today I would have any record sales left.
Mm-hmm. Well, it seems like I feel like there's a solution out there. I mean, things have changed a lot in as far as the music industry and the business model and the financial model that it runs on. But really, all it takes is for people to put their heads together and try stuff out and experiment to figure out a way to be able to make a living. And what I've found is I feel like the key lies in being able to establish a closer relationship and strong relationship with people who are fans of your music, and that's been made very much possible by social media, and you combine that with your offline efforts, then people they want to support you, and they love your music, because they can love your music, but that's not unfortunately it's not enough to really get the full support that you need to make a living.
Right. I think that working hard on the road and building a fan base by performing, sometimes doing benefit shows. I've done a lot of benefit shows for charity organizations, and I still do, because I believe that that's the only thing that I can do to support people that are in need. So I do those benefit shows, and that's something that builds audience as well. Doing some home concerts builds some support and a fan base. Working hard on the road from venue to venue build a fan base, and then you add to that all the social media outreach, and that's how you nurture your audience. That is important. It's part of the job of being a musician now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Kyle, it's great to talk to you. I really enjoyed it. I have to go back to my studio.
Okay, no problem.
Continue the work. But I'm really glad we talked, and I hope we can keep in touch through email, and hopefully we'll meet in person one of the upcoming shows.
No, absolutely. I'll keep it on my calendar and see if my work schedule opens up for it. I'll be able to make it. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, thanks again, Yuval, for coming on, and it's been it's been another great interview for Seeds of Music. Really informative for everyone. So
great.
All right.
Please send me a link when it's online. I would love to send it to some of my fans.
Absolutely. All right.
Okay. Take care.
Bye-bye.
And that wraps up another episode of Seeds of Music. In this episode, we have Yuval Ron on the show. As always, make sure to check out his links below. Check out his music. Check out his courses, his workshops, and his mentorship. Because, hey, mentorship. If you ever read Mastered by Robert Greene, I know I keep mentioning this book because it's so freaking awesome, but a mentorship is like the boom. It's like the shebang of all ways to fast track yourself to being the master of your craft that you want to be. So, learn from others. So check that out. Check out his links and sign up for the Seeds of Music email newsletter, because you know what? If you don't, you're going to miss out on some awesome stuff that's going to be coming up in the next couple of months. And you're also not going to get the interviews sent straight to your email inbox. So, I know. It's a convenience thing. Come on. You want to stay updated. If you're enjoying the interviews, sign up for the email newsletter. And if you're subscribed to the YouTube channel, that's not enough. Just sign up for the email newsletter, because there's no communications go out through the YouTube channel or anything like that. I don't really check my YouTube inbox. Though if you need to send something through there, I'll occasionally check it. But no, sign up for the email newsletter. And next, if you like this, then like it on Facebook. If you want to share it, or actually just share it. If you like it, then share it. They both go hand in hand. So like it on Facebook, share it on Facebook, share it on any other social network that you are on. Just if it's useful, I hope that you will share it to help other musicians and help other individuals. And last, comment on the video. What was your greatest takeaway from the interview? What was the most awesome thing you heard that Yuval or I said? More than likely, it's something that Yuval said and not me. But hey, that's how it is. He's the expert here. So just let me know, what was that? And how will you apply what you've learned? Or do you actually feel that some other ways to connect deeply with an audience and emotionally touch them and just have more of an impact and be more memorable? Last, who would you like to see interviewed? Are you the person who would want to be interviewed? That's totally cool. I am completely 100% open to that. All you got to do is send an email to my personal email address at kyle.seedsofmusic@gmail.com. I hope to hear from you.